Hello, Hillfield Elementary parents and guardians. This is Mr. Forsgren. I am the principal of Hillfield Elementary and want to welcome you and all those who are new to Hillfield to our school. We hope that you will see all of our efforts to try and make sure that your student and you have the best possible experience that you can while you are here at our school. We are working and endeavoring to try and become a kind and respectful school. And that takes effort in an elementary school. And there's a lot of things that we do to try and positively enforce those good behaviors. And again, we hope that you have a positive experience here. My number one responsibility as school principal, even before learning, is safety. And this presentation is about safety. And we care about a student's mental well-being as well as their physical well-being. All of that is tied to safety. The reason that's my number one responsibility is because your children are your most precious commodity, and we need to be able to take care of them. As a school, we know that if a student doesn't feel safe, whether it's mentally or physically, then they are not going to learn. And that's why it's such a big deal for us to make sure that students are safe. We try and address safety and everything that we do in a positive manner. We know, however, that there are times that we have to make clear that things will not be tolerated. And this presentation is more about making sure that everyone is aware that there are some things that we definitely won't tolerate here at Hillfield Elementary, and also that you know that we are going to try and do our best to teach those expectations in a positive manner. We have 3 school rules that we want to make sure every student is aware of, and also that they know what they mean. Respect yourself, respect others, and respect property. Notice that they're all phrased positively. Sometimes when I ask students what are our 3 school rules, they'll say, well, don't run in the hall. Keep your hands and feet to yourself. Well, and those are things that fall underneath, but all of those things can be done all those things can be summarized by these 3 school rules. Respect yourself, respect others, respect property. Respecting yourself, just to summarize it, really just means that every student is trying their best. We know that they're not going to know everything we're going to teach them, and sometimes they're going to struggle with things, and that's okay. We want them just to try. We will do our very best to get them there. They just need to try. It also means that they need to make good decisions and make the best decisions that they know how to make. Respecting others can be summarized in what many have called the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And everybody wants to be treated kindly, so we need to make sure that that's passed on to those whom we are around, whether it's an adult or another student. Respecting property really can be summarized in just saying, hey, use the things that we use as tools here at school in the way that they're supposed to be used. Pencils aren't meant to be chewed on, so we use them for writing. And our computers are learning tools, and so we want to use them appropriately as learning tools. As we go throughout this presentation, I'm going to always bring it back to these 3 school rules. Almost always, if a student's making a bad decision, then they're not respecting themselves, and that's going to be a common theme throughout the whole thing, is that the students will know better. And whenever I talk to them, they always know better. And so they're not respecting themselves. And so we talk about that. How can we make sure that we have respect for ourselves to make the best decisions that we can? One thing we want to make sure that everybody recognizes is that these school rules don't just apply from 8:45 to 3:25 in between our bells. They apply really any time where school can be brought in, on school property, before school, after school, on buses, for field trips, whatever. Of course, during the school day, any kind of school activities that we have, we would expect students to follow all these school rules. Respect yourself, respect others, and respect property. And of course, we are expecting that to happen when students are at home. We know that we have shared responsibility for student safety, even if it's off campus going to and from school. And when things pour over into school, we know that we have shared responsibility to make sure that we take care and resolve those situations so that students can feel safe here, even if it's happening over text at home. As we go through again, I'm going to make connections to our school rules. And so when I do this presentation with the students, I ask them, what are our school rules that's being broken? Again, this presentation is more of the bigger issues that we would absolutely not tolerate. We have a lot of things that we deal with on a classroom level, school level, and most of these things we won't see throughout the school year. However, we just need to, it is our responsibility to inform parents and students that these things are not okay. First of all, just starting, we have a lot of words that we don't use a lot at an elementary level: arson, graffiti, vandalism. Really, if a student's trying to start a fire, marking or damaging our property, using a chair in any way other than sitting, they are not respecting property, and they're not respecting themselves. And so these are things that we want students to make sure we know about, and we want to monitor and make sure that they're not happening, so that we can address it and keep kids safe. And we always want to teach students, if they see something, to let us know. And these are all things, of course, that will not be okay at school. Harassment is something that's repeatedly making someone feel uncomfortable. One of the most common things we run into at an elementary level is students want to say, "Oh, I was just joking. I was just joking." Well, from the perspective of the person who was being joked about, if it makes them feel uncomfortable, if it makes them be sad and feel unsafe, then it's not okay and can be considered harassment. And so joking in that way is not allowed here, whether it's in person or virtually. Of course, things of any kind of sexual nature and sexual overtones will not be tolerated as well. They are not safe. They do not make kids feel comfortable, and then they don't learn. And that's why it's part of respecting others to make sure these things aren't taking place. We also have to deal with physical aggression sometimes. Um, Gratefully, most of the stuff we deal with start off as playing, and then students take it too far, and then someone gets hurt or something like that. But sometimes we do have physical aggression where just people are mad, and that's not okay either. We teach students that it is our job to help keep them safe. Their job is to make good choices, to respect themselves and make good choices, and to respect others. If those things are happening, we're not going to have these issues. But we want them to use their words and to make sure that others know when they are feeling uncomfortable, and make sure others know that they don't like what is being said or what is being done. And then if it persists, to make sure that we know about it, especially if they are feeling unsafe. If they're feeling unsafe, they need to let us know about it all the time. Fighting, hazing, harassment, all of those are not going to be allowed, even if it was considered pretend. And that's something, again, at an elementary level we run into a lot. We were pretending, we were playing a game, and if it makes them feel unsafe, then it's something we need to know about. Of course, there is no use of drugs, tobacco, or alcohol on school grounds. That's just something that everybody needs to make sure you know. Whether you're in your car, in our parking lot, it's not okay. We don't do it. Whether you're waiting for a student, it's not okay here. And we would want to make sure that students aren't doing any of those things here. Saying intimidating, and whether, again, it's real or you're joking around, making threats of someone that you're going to hurt them, and sometimes you threaten to hurt them unless they give you something. That stuff is not accepted here as well. Obviously that would make students feel unsafe. It's not respecting themselves, because we do know better, and it's definitely not respecting others, and we would want to know about it. Robbery, we don't really use the word extortion here, but that's similar to what I just talked about, as far as if a student were to make you feel that they need to buy you something in order to be your friend. Well, that's technically extortion, and we don't want that here. And that can make a student feel uncomfortable here. Stealing obviously would not be tolerated in any way. That's not respecting someone's property, it's not respecting others, and it's definitely not respecting yourself by making the decision to steal. This is something in particular that comes around Halloween time, but no weapons of any sort, whether it's real or pretend. Those obviously, even if it's a pretend, whether it's fingers or not, we just don't want that here. We don't want to take any chances to make sure that students we don't want to take any chances with our student safety, and we just avoid it altogether. We know that kids sometimes like to play those type of games. Sometimes they're playing those type of games at home, and that rolls over into school. We will talk to them about it and want to make sure that we minimize that here at school, and hopefully don't see it at all. But it is something that we want to address, because we don't want to take any chances with your student safety. Discrimination is something that's is gratefully more in the light than we've ever had it before, and it's something that we definitely don't take and tolerate at all. We want to treat, and the way that we address that at school is we don't treat people differently just because they look or act differently than us. That's not okay. Doesn't matter whether it's based on skin color, race, a disability, boy or girl, whatever it is not tolerable to make fun of someone, to joke about it, or anything like that. It's not acceptable, and we will address it accordingly because it's not respecting others. We just treat everybody with kindness and respect, and we're going to be good. And we don't joke about it if it's not. We don't joke about anything that's not kind. One other thing that we do run into is continued disruption. Sometimes is a violation of a safe school as well. If we have a student that's tossing chair or tipping their desk over and they're kind of doing it on a regular basis, we can understand why that would make a student feel unsafe in the classroom, and it's a disruption of learning. And so we want to make sure we know about those things. Our teachers are good about letting administration know that we need to handle those situations, and we'll work with parents as partners to address this and any of these concerns. This is kind of a summary of the things that we've talked about here, but all these are considered safe school violations. They're all things that can make a student not feel good here and not learn, and we want to take care of it, which is why we tell kids, if you see something, say something. Use your words too. We want them to use their words as they're growing up. It's important that they use their words to let people know that that's not okay. It's making them feel unsafe, it's making them feel uncomfortable, they don't like it, and then make sure we know about it, and they should report it to the closest adult out at recess. Sometimes they feel uncomfortable, and I always invite kids, you can come talk to me, that's okay. Or sometimes parents, you find out about it before we do. And please know that we will take care of it when you report it to us the very next day if you find out about it after school. These are possible consequences that can be held. We want students in school, so we try and make sure suspension sometimes. In-school suspension is really at the same level as out-of-school suspension. In-school suspension is when the student is here in the office doing their work here. They don't have access to any of the other students because we know they're safe, and sometimes because we know that they're learning here, and we want to use that in-school suspension in order to continue the learning, but also to make sure that the other students are feeling safe without a student or some type of behavior not around. However, all these other things are things that can be used if the situation deems necessary. If we're getting to this level, we're consulting with our district and law enforcement to make sure that we're handling it appropriately, and we're definitely working with parents to make sure everyone is feeling good about the plan that we have in place and everyone's feeling safe. Just a couple things. These aren't really safe school issues, but wanted to bring it up in this video as well. Dress code, generally, if we can follow these three things, we're pretty good. Sleeves, we ask that they go all the way out to the shoulder. Shorts go to mid-thigh. And then we cover everything in between, whether it's a midriff or their back. We just ask that that's the case. And also part of dress code is parents making sure that you are watching the weather. Utah weather fluctuates a lot, and so please dress them accordingly and write their names in their jackets. We have hundreds of jackets left over every year that we end up donating because students forget them and they're never claimed from or lost and found. Electronic devices is something that's a personal decision for a parent to send with the student. However, at school, we don't allow electronic devices to be used during those school hours. We ask that they're turned off and in their backpacks. If we see them, our policy states that the first time we're going to take it and we are going to give it back to the student with just help them understand that it's something that's not necessary here, because safety is our #1 concern, and that often comes up when a cell phone is sent to school and that parents want them to have it for to and from school. That's fine. Use it before school and after school. We have a phone in every room of this school, and so we want us to be the ones contacting you if there's a safety issue or anything that's necessary. We don't want the students texting in the bathroom or anything like that. So we know that watches are becoming more and more popular with our students now. And again, although we will allow them to be worn, we do ask that they are not used during school hours. And our second, if we see that, we ask that it not be done. Second time, we take things and have the parents pick it up, and then after that, I work with the parents to make a plan to make sure that it's not happening. They're just devices that are distractions here that can cause problems, and we just avoid it in general. Those would be things that are different at the junior high and high school level, but at an elementary level, they're just not needed here, since we have a phone in we have a device for every student, and we have a phone in every classroom. Just in summary, respect yourself, respect others, respect property. Those are the most important things that we can teach the students. And all this, we know this is focused a lot on the negative, but trust me, we're going to be doing a lot of different things to reinforce the positive behaviors and recognize all the great things that your students are doing here at school. The vast majority of the students we won't even deal with throughout this school year, because they are just making so many good decisions, and we want to recognize that. We don't want to just bring all the attention to the negative things that are happening. So we hope that you'll recognize all the great things that are happening at our school and all the great things that your students are doing as well, and that we can work with you to make this a wonderful experience at Hillfield Elementary. Thank you so much for all that you do to support us at the school, and all you do to advocate for your student. We hope they have a great day. Bye.